the Palestinian territories. Now, today is the Kurdish New Year, and it's been marked by a major step towards peace in Turkey. Turkey's Kurdish rebel leader, Abdullah Öcalan, who's been held in an island prison since 1999, has called for a ceasefire. He's told his fighters to withdraw from Turkish soil to their base in northern Iraq. The announcement was met with huge cheers by Kurds in Turkey, hoping for an end to violence. Over about 3 decades, the conflict in Turkey has left 40,000 dead. From Istanbul, our correspondent James Reynolds sent this report.
Abdullah Öcalan promised a historic announcement. More than 100,000 Kurds gathered in Diyarbakir to hear his message, written hundreds of miles away in a Turkish prison cell. Abdullah Öcalan may have spent the last 14 years behind bars, but the size of this crowd shows that he remains the undisputed leader of the Kurdish people in Turkey. During the New Year celebrations, his declaration was read aloud.
With millions witnessing, I'm announcing the beginning of a new era. The stage has been reached where our armed forces should withdraw beyond the borders.
These pictures show the old era that Abdullah Öcalan has now promised to give up. Before his capture in 1999, he led PKK fighters in the field. Now he's ordered them to give up their positions in Turkey and withdraw to the movement's main base across the border in the mountains of northern Iraq. But it's not yet clear when this withdrawal might begin.
I see the call, the invitation, as a positive development. However, of course, what really matters is to implement this call. What happens in its implementation is very important.
Abdullah Öcalan has now been in prison for almost half the length of the entire Turkish-Kurdish conflict. His supporters will hope that his announcement becomes his defining move. But 3 decades of unrest do not simply end with a single declaration. James Reynolds, BBC News, Istanbul.
Let's talk some more about this. I'm joined here in the studio by Ziya Gol, my colleague from BBC Persian. He's of Kurdish origin. He's made several documentaries, in fact, about Turkey and the Kurdish question. Ziya, so first of all, just tell us, why have we reached this point now? What is it about the situation that has brought about the ceasefire call?
I think the dynamic of the region has changed severely due to what's happening in Syria. Right now in Syria, the Kurdish in the north of the country, technically they control most part of the country. And don't forget, this region are controlled by PYD. Many people say they are a branch of...
PYD
is a Democratic Union of Kurdistan, which is Syria.
The party in Syria.
Many say they are a branch of the PKK. In fact, I think for many years the Kurds have called the government, if you want to solve the Kurdish problem, you have to start from the Imrali prison. It's an island which Mr. Ocalan has been imprisoned in the past 14 years. So it seems to me both sides, they have reached to this point, they have to sit down and negotiate. But don't forget, it's not the first time. In 2007, there was some negotiation, secretly was conducted for 2 years, but when the note of this and the voice of this negotiation leaked to the media, it was ended. So many people in Turkey, mostly the public opinion, were not in favor of negotiation with the PKK because for many years they were considered a terrorist organization. They called them baby killer. But I think at this point of time, with the situation in the region, Mr. Erdogan and his government reached to this point, they have to negotiate.
Okay, because of course we have Kurds in Iran and, as you said, in Syria and also in Iraq and also in Turkey, although there's a great debate about whether they really all can coalesce around just, you know, one Kurdish identity. There are different languages and so on amongst them. But in terms of the regional picture, looking at the Kurds in Iraq too, who have provided these mountain bases for the Turkish Kurds, what's their thinking in this, the Kurdistan regional government in northern Iraq?
I think at this moment they have a really good relation with Turkish government, and they have been pushing for negotiation. I had an interview with the Prime Minister of Iraqi Kurdistan. They asked for negotiation. Yes, the President, the Prime Minister,
President Taliban,
and what happened actually, I think they cannot control that region, because the region PKK is based is a Kandil mountain for centuries. Actually, has been a place of how to say hiding for
really
many rebel
mountainous.
groups. Absolutely, is a fortress, is a massive mountain between Iran, Iraq, and Turkey. And even during Saddam Hussein, the very same people who are in power in Iraqi Kurdistan, they were hiding there, and Saddam never managed actually to control that region. For one thing, I don't think the Kurdish government could do much about or controlling the PKK in the region, but definitely from inside, their own population definitely would now allow them to push them out, and they have to, you know, somehow deal with the PKK. And I'm sure
but they want
been trying
better
hard.
the Turkish
Absolutely,
government, economic links, oil
they are
links,
trying
kind of
to
thing.
solve this problem and somehow make peace between both sides.
We've just touched on the complex issue a bit there, but thank you very much for explaining all that.